Well, US lawmakers have moved one step closer to banning TikTok. The House of Representatives have passed a bill giving TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, 165 days to divest its stake in the US version of the app amid security concerns.
On this vote, the yeas are 352, the nays are 65. One present, 2/3 being in the affirmative. The rules are suspended. The bill is passed. And without the objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
This is how some content creators are reacting.
I'll keep going, guys. Don't worry, I'm not going to go anywhere. But unfortunately, we are seeing the demise of TikTok as we speak.
These are the people that we voted in, and I think we need to find out exactly who the hell voted to get rid of TikTok. China's not my threat. The United States is my threat.
Joining us in the studio is Sky News host Chris Kenny and Sky News host Erin Molan. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Yeah, lovely to see you.
Look, what do you make of this ban? We know that Donald Trump doesn't want TikTok to be banned, saying that all these content creators are going to go to Meta. It's going to benefit Meta. What do you think, Chris Kenny?
Oh, Gab, I find it hard to believe that this will actually happen. I know it's passed the lower house in the US. It's got to get through the Senate yet, and then Joe Biden, of course, would have to sign off on it. I can't see it happening. Now, I think the security concerns are real, but Americans love freedom of speech more than anything else. It's one of the fundamental principles of the US, and they also love to dance and muck around on TikTok, as we've seen. So I just can't see the government following through on this. I think they need to do something. I think there's got to be other ways to legislate any blocks on any suspicious technology attached to algorithms attached to TikTok and the rest of it. To ban them unless they sell out to American interests effectively is a big step for America.
Erin, what do you think? We've obviously seen some reaction there from content creators, and naturally they're quite worried. I know some people are reacting pretty strongly online, but what do you think?
Kind of reminded me of the videos that, remember those Britney Spears fans did crying? Britney. So look, I don't
leave Britney alone.
Leave Britney alone. I don't have a lot of empathy for them. I think, old mate saying we're witnessing the demise of TikTok doesn't quite understand how politics works, in that still got to go through the Senate. There's a long way to go. Could be a new president. Trump, though, has changed his mind on this, obviously. He was calling for the ban of it a few years ago when it wasn't so flattering for him and he wasn't particularly fond of it. But he's right in that it would give Meta a huge, almost a complete share of the market, which is dangerous. We know what they're doing here with news. They're already so powerful, so anything that gives them more power I don't think is a good thing. But I agree with Chris. I think, you look at America with, the freedom and rights that they value, and right to bear arms, freedom of speech, etc. More than anything else, they care deeply about that. So I don't think this will happen, I agree, but the security risk is definitely real.
Yeah.
And I think it's something we've all got to be conscious of, and I think we're one of the last countries to follow suit here in banning it on government phones, but yeah, we'll watch with interest.
Oh, yeah, we will watch. And it's interesting on that point, Elon Musk says that this is really about censorship. So there will be a lot of backlash if this was to go through.
Absolutely. Are you on TikTok?
No, I couldn't think of anything worse. They tried to sign
Maybe we should all get on there and dance for freedom.
President Biden He's on TikTok.
Well,
he's not going to ban it. He's trying to attract a younger audience now.
They were against it, and then as soon as, he's trying to jump on the Taylor Swift bandwagon and then dancing to her music, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Are you on TikTok? That's the question.
No.
Why not?
Well, I think I'd break it.
You'd break it.
Yeah. So viral.
If I was dancing, honestly, they wouldn't be able to handle the traffic.
Well, it's funny. So many young people are on it. They're watching all those dance videos. I did get on it at the start of COVID, then I quickly deleted it because I realised how much time I was spending on the app. But so many, I suppose, some millennials and even Gen Zs are getting their news sources from TikTok, and that's what's a little bit concerning.
All this stuff, I worry about the news sources. I worry about the misinformation that's spread on so much of social media. Unless you're going to trusted news sources via social media, then there's a lot of rubbish out there.
And even then it's fraught sometimes. Hello, ABC.
Yeah, but all the tracking as well, right? I'm spooked by how much Instagram and Facebook know about my personal interests and where I want to buy where I dream about. You know, you look for holiday homes and places you'd love to buy. Next year, inundated with all this stuff because they think you're a regular buyer.
You say something and then next second there's an ad there. The other app that's quite concerning, which I didn't flag with you guys as well, was SnapMap. Have you heard of that?
No.
One of my stepsisters had a party and then next second there was people coming from everywhere and it's like a Find My Friends but Snapchat. So once you can see where everyone is.
Yeah. Well, Instagram apparently something's come in that you have to then go and actively switch off, which is your location. So when you look at stalking and other issues that we're having significant problems with in the community at the moment as well, there are a whole other dangers. Don't start me on social media and the dangers of it because I will not shut up.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that gets to the point, though, is that this American thing with TikTok, and the desperately serious security issues here. You know, it's not a flippant issue. I just don't think they'll go through with a full-scale ban. I think that's a step too far. But the security issues are pertinent. In the US, the government employees are told not to have TikTok because of the tracking and security breaches. So a full-on ban, though, you'd have to think it's unlikely.
The Osama bin Laden resurgence that happened at the end of last year off the back of October 7th.
Yeah.
And all the videos and all these young kids, you know, but it's such a fine line, isn't it, between not wanting that kind of influence to go to young, vulnerable people who don't know any better and clearly have no desire or willingness to educate themselves in structured ways, look at that and go, oh, yeah, that's amazing. You know, you're almost, what's the word when you... a whole generation of people when you're like coercing them into believing something that's not true. I can't think of the word.
Indoctrination.
Exactly. It's something akin to that. But where do you stop freedom of speech? You know, you almost have to let people. It's a tough one.
You've got all this ahead of you as a parent.
Oh,
my little
God,
boys are just getting into that era. You've got a few years to wait, but that's such a worry.
It's terrifying. Yeah.
Well, sticking with US news, Donald Trump has won the Republican nomination for the 2024 presidential election, setting up a rematch with Joe Biden. Trump and Biden are projected to win their party's presidential primaries in each of their states.
Now we have to get back to work because we have the worst president in the history of our country. His name is Joe Biden, sometimes referred to as Crooked Joe Biden, and he must be defeated. Our nation is failing. We're a nation that is in serious decline. We've never had a situation like this where we're not respected, we're laughed at, we're considered almost a joke.
Erin, I suppose that's no surprise, seeing Donald Trump being the Republican nominee. Where do you see this going? We know that Trump is ahead of Biden in the polls. The latest poll shows that he's 40% to Biden's 38%. We've still got a long way to go between now and November 5. What do you make of it?
Oh, it's a fascinating contest, and I just love this stuff anyway from an entertainment perspective. But I guess even from an Australian perspective, we have so much riding on the outcome of this election. And it's so interesting. Nikki Haley, obviously the last Republican to drop out, but her argument over the entire period was that Trump can't beat Biden, so there's no point putting him in. At the moment, I'm beating Biden when you put us two together, but Trump can't. That's now shifted. We've seen a change. And of course, it could change a million times. But Biden did well at the State of the Union speech in that he didn't completely capitulate and screw it up. But I think his cognitive ability will play a massive part over the next few months. If he can hold it together, he's got much more of a chance. Trump, when it comes to Australia, he's obviously very isolationist in his national security policies, and we cannot rest in our laurels like we've done for basically our entire existence, well, the recent part of that anyway, and expect America to defend us because we're going to be in a lot of trouble if Trump comes in. I think America will be in a better place under Trump. I don't think he's, you know, a moral beacon of hope. I think, you know, he's a flawed individual, absolutely, but he's a stronger leader than Biden, but it may hurt us as well.
Yeah, he's such a divisive figure here, isn't he, Chris Kenny?
And around the world and in the US. I just think, you know, the great republic, the leader of the free world, this is the best they can give their people, a choice between Trump and Biden. It was bad enough the first time, and now we're going to be back there again. I still, in my heart of hearts, don't think Joe Biden will run. I can't see how the Democrats could risk everything on allowing Joe Biden to run. They have to, decide on another candidate, and B, convince Joe Biden to quit. It's easy for him to quit. He just says, you know, I've decided that I'm not really up to it.
Where is Jill? Surely Jill, like, this is what you do when you love, you know, honey, it's enough.
Yeah, well, she's doing the opposite. She was the one fronting the cameras at the start of the year saying, I see his vigour.
Well, she loves living in the big house, right?
I get it.
It's painful to watch.
And she's so influential, you know, probably maybe the most influential First Lady since Eleanor Roosevelt, because, I mean, Joe, we can see, can't really think for himself. Look, I just think the switch in for the Democrats can't be ruled out, because it would be ludicrous for them to talk about it now. It would be ludicrous for anyone to put up their hand. He can't quit now, because then, of course, Kamala Harris gets the job. They have to wait till the convention or just afterwards, and then he quits, and they have to install, the Democrat National Convention has to install a new ticket. Michelle Obama and Gavin Newsom or something like that, and then they have a fresh team to run against Trump. But, you know, at the moment, it looks like it's Trump versus Biden. And I think while the Democrats think, oh, yeah, Biden can beat Trump because he did it last time, I think it's fraught with danger. I think Trump could well upset that apple cart.
And turnout will play a big part, of course, as well.
Absolutely,
as it does every time. I saw this thing written recently, the lesser of two evils, but this is the evil of two lessers, and it's so true. That was not mine. I didn't make that up, but I read it.
Yeah, the sentiment really is just everyone's so disheartened that these are really the two options. Independent Rob F. Kennedy Jr. will announce his running mate on March 26 in California. Do you expect he could pick up momentum, seeing as we've got Trump versus Biden? And if so, who's voting for him? Are his votes coming from Trump supporters or potentially Biden supporters?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Gab. If he does pick up a strong cohort of votes, I think with a name like Kennedy, he's going to get a lot of them from the disaffected Democrat voters as well. There's no more famous name for the Democrats than Kennedy. But I think in the end it's going to be a polarised contest. I think it's going to, if it is Biden, then Trump-Biden, the electorate will have to make that choice. And, you know, even if they switch someone else in for Biden, it's all going to be about that person and whether they can stop Trump. So we'll see. But I think with this, it's a bigger issue. It's a bigger trauma for the world and for America than just a dispiriting choice. The thing is, this is a perilous time in world history. China's on the rise. We've still got the West fighting a proxy war against Russia in Ukraine, and we need strong leadership from the US, and we sure ain't getting it.
Aaron, do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, even our own Prime Minister is saying, the most perilous time in 80-odd years, and it is. It's terrifying. And China's intentions in Taiwan are no secret. They say it very openly, and still no one here seems to believe them. We're completely unprepared for what that will do, and particularly in this region. Look at Israel, look at Gaza, look at the Houthis and Iran using their proxies to attack America. I mean, we are on the brink of something terrifying, and strength is the only thing that will deter that from happening. And I mean, if Donald Trump the answer, who knows? But at the moment, it's awful. The choice isn't great. But I think Trump will probably welcome Kennedy running, because I think it will split the Democrat vote much more than it would impact his.
Moving on, the fallout over Princess Catherine's Mother's Day photo continues. And to recap, this image was posted on Instagram and it was quickly taken down by news agencies. And Princess Catherine then wrote an apology claiming it was her editing skills. Erin, I can't believe it that Kate had to take the blame for this.
This is absolutely ridiculous, the whole thing, in that clearly the photo was not from last week. And the only issue with all of this is that the royals confirmed to a media outlet that it was taken last week, stupidly said, oh, it was taken last week. They didn't say that in the picture. I mean, often the royals will put out a family picture that's old or taken last spring, or for whatever purpose, a happy birthday William picture that was from last year. It doesn't matter. But when the media agencies asked, when was this taken, someone said, oh, last week. And just stupid. Otherwise, it's not a big deal, because it wasn't taken last week, quite clearly. I've gone so deep into these theories. So it was November. She was wearing the exact same outfit, the same ribbing on the turtleneck. They have coloured it black, which is utterly ridiculous. Charlotte is wearing the exact same jeans, same shoes, same frill neck top. You don't wear that kind of top twice when you're a royal.
The Kensington Palace, the PR department have done such a bad job, and I think it's so unfair.
Kate's sitting there editing.
Kate's recovering from abdominal surgery. I feel so bad for Princess Catherine. Chris, we know you're a strong monarchist.
I really, honestly, I couldn't have less interest in the royals, but I did think the two princes married kind of well. I thought Meghan and Catherine were attractive, stylish, and seemingly intelligent women.
I don't know how those princes got attractive women. God, must be their personality.
But they seemed intelligent and stylish as well. We know, of course, we found out a couple of years ago that Meghan's bonkers, right? So forget her. So Catherine was the great hope of the side for normality in the royal family. Now I'm starting to wonder what's going on here.
Wait a minute.
The other thing is, again, this is not my original thought, so I don't claim it, but someone pointed out on social media the other day that, you know, those pictures and that little film of the Queen with Paddington Bear? Maybe that wasn't real either.
I saw actually on social media again, thank you, TikTok, it wasn't on TikTok, but gosh, things have fallen apart since the Queen died. She must have been holding that family together.
She used to do all the photoshopping for me.
She used to do it herself on Paint,
And we would just
Microsoft
believe it.
Paint.
Yeah, that's a thing. Well, I suppose they are kind of the royals. It appears that they're failing in the digital age because whatever photograph they would be able to present, we would, of course, believe them. And now they maybe can't get away with it.
That people would zoom in. It's the royal, like, it just
Wouldn't you think, you know, this age-old anachronistic institution would just skip the whole digital photos and Photoshop era and get in a royal portrait painter?
Yeah.
That would do the job.
Maybe Instagram's too addictive. I think they want to be on it too. Thanks for being on TikTok. Chris Kenny, Erin Molan, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. Really appreciate it, and great to have both your companies.
Great to provide some aesthetic balance.
You really stick out, don't you?